Hey everybody out there, welcome to Wick Live. I am Dan Selke, the editor at Winter is Coming, and I am joined by Cheryl Wassenaar.
Hi Dan.
Hello, the editor at Culturist. Kayla Knierim is out on vacation this week, our regular co-host. We'll be back next week. And we have Josh Hill back from the brink of death to do a Song of Dan and Josh with us. We walk through A Song of Ice and Fire together at the end of the day. And the first thing you might recognize if you're a regular viewer, hello Julie. How you doing?
Hi, Julie.
Everyone else in the room. Hi, Emma. Good to see you. Is that we have a new setup here. We have new microphones. We have a higher desk. I guess those two things. And the reason is because we're going to be converting Wick Live. It's still going to be at the same time, same place, but we're also going to be making it into a podcast now. So we're going to record everything we say. You can still watch us. We'll talk you through everything with our genius commentary. But you can also listen to us wherever podcasts are found, iTunes and other places. So we're going to get that going for you. We're really excited about it. That should be really fun. We're also going to be folding Wick Live under a new name in the future. We already have a Game of Thrones podcast at Winter is Coming called Take the Black. It's hosted by David Razor Harris. And we're going to get that back into production. You can already go see that on iTunes if you like. Rate it 5 stars. Download it 18,000 times just to give it a boost. And this new podcast, the podcast version of this show, will be on there too. So we're excited about it. We're going to give you more ways than ever to take in our Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire insights. But you can still come back to here Wednesdays at 4. That's not going to change. We'll still be here talking and blabbering about everything Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire.
It's true. I dressed appropriately.
Just in black?
In black for this.
Yes, you did.
But I'm very excited for the podcast.
No room for the wine, says Julie. We will have some wine soon. It's been too long since we've drunk something on this show.
It's true.
But we have some plans. Next week, by the way, we're going to have a big giveaway on next Wednesday's show, so watch out for that. But for now, we're here to talk about Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones Season 8, and everything involved with that. And luckily, there is some news bouncing around the internetosphere. Starting with a way that you, dear viewer, can attend the Game of Thrones Season 8 premiere in Los Angeles. What?
It's my dream. It's my dream come
stuff.
true. I could finally see if I'm taller than Kit Harington.
You are.
It's true, I probably am.
Everyone is. Somehow Peter Dinklage's taller than Kit Harington. I don't know how it happened.
The math, man. That's not my specialty.
Now, obviously, we don't know when the premiere is going to be yet, but they are already setting up. They're doing a drawing to give away 2 tickets to attend the premiere in Los Angeles, I imagine. They'll fly you out. They'll put you up in 4-star accommodations, and you can meet the cast and watch the show. And the way to do it is you have to go to a website called omaze.com, which is a website that's just used for these kind of charity drawings. And you can purchase like different levels of tickets. Like say you give like $10, you get like 10 entries.
I think it's 100 entries. So it's
maybe like that, yeah.
Yeah, I looked briefly, but yeah, no, there are a ton of different ways. You can get up to like several thousand different entries for this kind of thing. It all goes to charity. All donations are going to, I believe it's Next
for Autism.
For autism, yeah.
Which is a nonprofit autism help organization.
Yep.
The more you pay, the better your chances of, winning the drawing.
Yep.
And to promote it, Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, who plays Jaime Lannister, made a little video which set the internet on fire, of course. And that was pretty fun. We watch it here. How about that?
Fancy.
Roll the tape.
Yeah, get that footage going.
I want you to watch the premiere of the final season of
Can they hear it?
With me. Seriously, we'll fly you out, we'll put you up in a hotel, and then you'll come meet me and the cast at the premiere of our final season. You'll get to see the season premiere before anybody else, and you're gonna love it. Now you'll get to see Jaime Lannister. He's going down this mountain and he sees I'm gonna get you, motherfucker. No, please. Gets him, and then she brings back from the dead. They have a relationship. It's kind of weird. Oh, Cersei comes back. He gets a little upset about that. And finally, his is back. And then they all live. It's gonna be epic. Anyway, best of all, every donation supports Next for Autism and their mission to improve the lives of people living with autism spectrum disorder. Now you click the link or you go to omaze.com/thrones to enter. Hope to see you soon. That's it. That's good, right? That's it. Didn't say too much, did I? No, it's fine. It's fine.
And there you go. I think that's a lot of fun.
Me too.
And by the way, Julie, you asked, is it a safe site for making purchases? I mean, yes, I think it is. Obviously, HBO has confidence. They're lending out their actors to promote it. Mm-hmm. It's as safe as you're going to get on the internet. I mean, there are always risks, but I'd say that's perfectly safe. And of course, all proceeds do go to charity, which is great.
Yep.
And a really fun way to, a great prize. I mean, I'd want that prize.
I want that prize. I mean, Julie, Disney and Lucasfilm went through Omaze to go to see The Last Jedi premiere. So I think, like Dan said, you're probably as safe as you're going to get on the internet.
You're going to get. And of course, Nicholas Coster-Waldau there revealing everything about season 8.
Absolutely.
That was pretty funny.
The blurred out hand was
great. The hand
great.
comes back. That's confirmed, basically.
Yes, definitely happening now.
Hunter Armour wants that prize too. Of course you do. Anyway, let's move on for a second. So that's an exciting opportunity for everybody involved. Mm-hmm. Okay, on to rumblings about season 8. We have some spoiler-y type things and some proper spoilers in the making. Let's start with a new casting notice.
Yes!
Always like hearing about these where the HBO production is hiring new people or looking for people to play roles in season 8. Mm-hmm. They're looking for now, and we haven't heard anything in a while about this, but they want a new role for anybody out there who wants to get into the acting game on Game of Thrones to film something on, I think, March the 2nd in Northern Ireland. They're looking for a military guard.
Now that
is nondescript.
Not helpful.
Yeah, it's not helpful in the least bit. Hello, everyone. Hey, Daniel, how you doing? What's interesting about it is the kind of qualifiers, I think.
Okay.
So can be of any race. They don't care about that.
Okay.
25 to 35, that's whatever. Someone who can handle themselves in a fight, and fit and agile, excellent actor with a good, distinctive face.
Great.
What's that tell you? That tells you that they're probably going to have a close-up of some kind. They want to show the face.
Probably someone who's going to talk a little bit.
Maybe
a little.
I mean, an excellent actor, Tad.
Yeah. So, I mean, my first gut is Golden Company, maybe.
That makes sense.
Because we know Harry Strickland has been cast.
Yes.
And we know that the Golden Company is probably going to show up because he's been cast. And we know too that it's, kind of important. He's got to have the entourage, with the Golden Company's been talked up so much, especially with Cersei in the recent season. So that's my first gut instinct. I don't know where your thoughts are at with that, Dan.
That makes sense. I mean, I think the most interesting thing about it is the qualifier that it can be of any race.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because, I mean, if you're casting somebody in a Northern Army, you want a white dude. Because they don't really have a lot of diversity up there.
No.
But if it's the Golden Company, yes, then it doesn't really matter what race you are.
Exactly.
Because they're a free sellsword company. It could also be an Unsullied person, because they take those slaves from anywhere.
Mm-hmm, that's true. Unsullied's not a bad guess either.
So one of those two, I think it's pretty much got to be. But pretty much fun. Usama Mustafa is waiting for new spoilers. We have them, Usama. So just wait for 1 second, and we're going to get there. Because we do have some good ones.
We do.
Let's shift into that.
All right, let's do it.
So probably the biggest news to come out of this past week were some pristine, beautiful.
I have dreams about these photos, guys. I definitely had a dream or two about these photos.
Some beautiful photos of, I'm saying broadcast interrupted on the comments thing. Is that okay? Never mind. Some beautiful photos of the King's Landing set in Belfast, Northern Ireland at Titanic Studios. They were taken by... It's back. Never mind. It's Sweet Robin lives or we riot, says Sarah Davis. Naturally. That's what we're all hoping for. But these photos were taken by a person from a company called, the Stria Folding Attic Stairs Company, who just happened to be on site at the time for an unrelated reason, snapped some beautiful, crisp, beautiful photos.
So good.
And were good enough to let us use them. And I want to look at a couple of them because they look pretty juicy. So let's put one of those on the screen.
Let's do it.
Okay, look at that. See, what I love is how detailed this is. We're looking at the gate of King's Landing here, by the way, built in almost its entirety.
Yep.
At a back lot at Titanic Studios near the Paint Hall Studios. And again, this is detail on a level that not only do you not see on Game of Thrones, you don't only see on many productions. I mean, they've made the individual crenellations in the wall
Yep.
They've made it look like it's genuine brick.
Yep.
They've made...
They differed the colors of the brick.
They different the colors of the brick. It looks ridiculous.
And it looks really good because these pictures are really good.
I know. This guy like got right up in the grill and just took everything.
It was amazing.
They're excellent pictures.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's beautiful to see. But the juiciest part of it, I think, was when you zoom in, you see something that is pretty much tantamount to a spoiler.
Yep.
So let's zoom in on that picture.
Let's get that big close up.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So this is our spoiler moment for the day. This is a picture of kind of the wall between the two towers there. And Cheryl, what do you see?
I see something that looks kind of like a gate that kind of got blown off because you can kind of see that curve there.
Right.
But at the same time, you also can see that there's kind of what looks like some possible room for damage.
I mean, it's a giant hole in the wall.
It's a giant hole in the wall. See, you didn't zoom in far enough, Dan.
It is true. You can zoom in even further and see something else. I see a huge breach in the wall.
Yeah,
That's what I see.
I see something that could definitely be fit in for like the gate to actually be put in, but I can also see how quickly and easily the gate can be kind of taken down or destroyed.
It's so like rough around the edges and kind of messy.
Yeah.
But I think it's supposed to look like something blew a hole in that. So I'm thinking, either napalm strike, which I think is unlikely, or
probably.
a dragon attack.
I mean, dragons are usually the answer on Game of Thrones.
I mean, we already know there's going to be some action like that happening in King's Landing, but we're seeing it taking shape before our eyes, and it's
cool.
It looks like it's going to be pretty spectacular.
I mean, if you go to the lengths to build this entire set, like, you're going to be doing some cool stuff on that set.
Isn't it fun how, like, the ethos in filmmaking kind of swung back from, remember, like, when George Lucas was making the Star Wars prequels and he was doing everything on green screen and
oh my gosh, yes.
It's almost like practical effects have like made a resurgence
and
of it.
It's great.
It is really fun. I like it a lot.
It's exciting.
And Game of Thrones kind of leading that charge. I mean, you don't get more practical than building a city.
And sometimes setting it on fire, but that's another spoiler.
Setting it on fire and blowing a hole in a giant wall. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
So exciting.
And yes, Carrie Axe thinks it's the doom of King's Landing. Emma agrees with me. Dragon damage, possibly. I'd say definitely. I don't know what else makes that.
No.
Unless the zombies just like pound on the walls for a couple of thousand years and break through.
Maybe wildfire, question mark?
Maybe. We can't rule it out.
Wildfire's popular down in King's Landing.
Crazy lady. So we'll see how that goes when the show premieres, whenever that is. But hopefully, when it does, you'll be there beside the rest of the cast members being put up in a 4-star hotel because you went to omaze.com and registered for that drawing.
Yep.
Anything else you wanted to note this week's show before we turn it over to Josh Hill?
I mean, I'm just so excited for the show. I'm so excited for Liam Cunningham saying it's bittersweet, but not actually
that was nice, right?
But not actually giving anything else away.
Well,
but
of course.
Other than that,
they've all done this by this point.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get shot, I think was his... They'll shoot me if I say anything.
I love that word for the ending, by the way, bittersweet.
I know. There's so much to dive into with it. But other than that, no, I mean... It's hard to top the picture.
It's a good picture.
It is a really good picture.
If you want to, I mean, he must moonlight as like a photographer.
Seriously.
He's not building stairs for lofts.
It's a skill.
And thank you again for letting us use your picture if you're watching this.
Yes, thank you so much.
And thank you very much, Cheryl, filling in for Kayla.
I'm so happy to be here as usual, Dan. It's always great to talk to you about Game of Thrones.
I will see you in a few minutes.
Of
and
course.
And now we're going to bring on Mr. Josh Hill.
Josh Hill. Bye, everyone.
A moment
Have a good
too
week.
soon.
Oh, no. I'll sit for half a second more. No, here he comes. To save the day.
I shouldn't laugh. Sorry.
This is a live show, everybody.
Everything happens here. You've seen it all. Hey, Josh. How are you?
Graceful entry.
Graceful exit.
Graceful exit by Cheryl.
Entry. Thanks again, Cheryl, for filling in.
I like the new setup.
Right? Isn't this nice? Look at these microphones.
Nice.
They're so nice.
It's all right.
I mean, I feel a little weird not just having something unwieldy in my pocket.
Yeah.
How are you, Josh? Because last week you were a little under the weather.
I'm good. I got the plague, and now I'm safe and healthy.
What did you have? Was it,
it was the
measles?
flu, although the doctor, he did all the tests and everything, and by tests, I mean, he, checked my lungs and my ears, and he's like, I think you have the flu, and I was like, official diagnosis.
Always love a confident doctor who really says what he wants.
Love it.
All right.
Love it.
Well, Josh, you and I are here for a continuing series, A Song of Dan and Josh, where you and I walk through every chapter of A Song of Ice and Fire, which would be a long project. Looking into each of them, just kind of seeing what we think. I've read all the books multiple times. You've not read the books, seen the show. Are you ready for this week's discussion? Are you bummed up on the chapters?
I'm ready.
Your hair looks good, by the
Ready.
way.
Oh, thank you very much.
Maybe you need a haircut. I can't tell if it's like just... Never mind. Yeah, it looks like an anime person. Like it's really high.
Oh, well.
Is it a compliment, insult? I don't know. What do you guys think?
There you go.
But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about A Song of Ice and Fire. So we read
are.
2 chapters today. We
did.
read Catelyn.
Catelyn and Sons. Catelyn 5 and Sons
Catelyn 5.
2.
All right. So the first Catelyn chapter, I think is where the plot, like, it really kicks into motion. Because we have a huge... I mean, it's the biggest thing to happen since Bran fell out of a tower.
Yeah.
Like, Catelyn arrests Tyrion Lannister. Like, there's no going back from that. That's a crossing the Rubicon kind of moment.
Yeah.
What do you think of that final scene where Catelyn is in this inn, she sees Tyrion, that she kind of starts to talk to these lords without telling us exactly what she's doing, and it only becomes clear at the end that her plan here is to turn them on her side and to arrest Tyrion for the murder of Bran. How did this strike you?
I liked it. I mean, I remembered it from the show,
Right.
for sure. But
It's a big moment from the show.
I was reading it, and I was thinking about there was something that we were taught in film school, like the narrative of your story. You don't want convenient things to happen. So, like, you don't want your guy to come out of the bar in a back alley, and then there's the villain, and then the villain is, with the girl and everything, this kind of thing. And I kind of got a little bit of that when we were reading everybody's in the bar. So, like, Catelyn's in the bar, and it just so happens that she has, everybody else that she needs. And there's Tyrion, and Tyrion happens to make a noise, and then they recognize each other. But I felt like you described it in the notes, and I liked that as, like, the dominoes falling. And I liked that, and I felt it wasn't convenient and it wasn't facetious in that way. It worked, and I did like the way that it worked out. It was interesting the way it played out to me.
Yeah, I love that about the non-convenience of things happening, because I think what sold it for me is all the little moments that led up to it. That they spend some time on thinking, well, perhaps Catelyn shouldn't even stay at this inn, because they're trying to be incognito. But she's like, I want to sleep in a bed, and this is so wet and gross. And, they make a point of saying, like, no one's going to recognize me because I haven't been in this area for, like, 15 years, and I just look like a mud-splattered traveler. That they go to the trouble of, like, putting this singer near them who's kind of annoying and ingratiating and wants to talk about himself. Yeah. And it's not just there for ornamentation. It pays off, because when Tyrion comes in, of course, this singer who we've established wants to, like, rise in the world, is going to say, holy crap, a Lannister? Hey, over here, I can sing for you. Right. So Tyrion looks that way, sees her. It didn't read as too convenient to me when I'm reading it, because he sets it all up, like this leads to this, leads to this, leads to this.
It was very earned, and I felt like this isn't the first time he's done that, where he's kind of earned that domino falling.
Yeah, he's very careful.
And then this was a chapter where it wasn't with Ned and it wasn't in King's Landing. We had the plot moved forward. It seemed like that was
the first time.
Yeah, those were the only chapters, it seems, where we have some kind of movement is with Ned and in King's Landing. I was like, oh, here we go. Now we have something else going on with Catelyn and Tyrion.
And the next Sansa chapters, we're back to, like, the character theme stuff again. But you're right, something actually happens in this one. Like, this is obviously going to have big effects. Tyrion's captured. His sister won't like that. His father won't like that. His brother won't like that. What will it? I mean, we know what it'll do to Ned, but it's still it's definitely one of those moments where it's like the end of Act 1. Would you say? You went to film school.
I would say I was getting to the end there of Act 1.
Okay.
I could see it.
I did not, so you have more authority in that area than me. And I'd be curious to hear your insights, because that is something, that everyone can give that kind of insight. What else happened in this chapter? That's what I like.
We got more world building.
We always do.
But it's like that same way where he earns it, because you had Catelyn was trying to figure out where to go, and then she was describing all the places, and I was like, very clever. Very
that was good. She was like, should I go north to Winterfell, or should I go east to the Vale, or west River Run? Like, all those places are really important.
Right.
And she should be thinking about that, because she has a decision to make, but the way it's put in there, it's like, it's that way of feeding you information without you really feeling like you're being fed. Like, I just watched Altered Carbon, part of it over the weekend. Have you seen it yet on Netflix?
I haven't. Any good?
It was. I watched the first episode. It was fine, but like, they were talking in that way where that they're giving you info about this world because you need it.
Forced exposition.
That's what it kind of felt like. And this is like the antithesis of that. This is you're getting information, but there's a reason she's talking about it. Like, she has a decision to make, and she decides to go to Winterfell. But now we know where the Vale is, we know where Riverrun is. So that's nice. I also, really quick before we move on, just the whole, to bring it back to the theme, always the theme. Power is the theme of Game of Thrones, of A Song of Ice and Fire, I think. How to get it, how to keep it, how to wield it. And there's so many different ways to use power. You got someone like Jaime or Brienne, who bash folk with swords. Arya, too, kind of. You got Ned, who's a leader. Daenerys, who's a leader. And now we have someone like Catelyn, who is just kind of, again, she's not being aggressive. She's not fighting anybody. She's not like leading an army. She's using the intelligence she has because she grew up just kind of using like what the smarts you have when you grow up as like the daughter of a nobleman. You know all these people, social skills, I guess. Yeah. To get people on her side and then outsmart someone as smart as Tyrion Lannister. And it comes off as just as powerful as anything that Jaime or Brienne or Daenerys or Ned does. Like just as impactful. And I think sometimes authors struggle with like, how do I have a character who can make like be powerful and be a leader without making them a fighter? Yeah. And I think George R. Martin does a good job of giving lots of his characters different ways to actually move the plot forward and affect change.
Yeah, they're layered. So I like that, especially going inside of their heads too. You get the motivation, which I feel helps and is lacking on the show because you can only read into so many facial acts and everything like that. But yeah, I agree with you. I really like that.
And it's satisfying too, because then the last line was like, she did what was more satisfying, look in Tyrion's face or all the swords being drawn. So it's fun. It's like a little badass moment for Catelyn. It won't last, but good for her. Speaking of character, really quick.
Excitement.
Really quick, vocabulary. Yeah. Trencher of bread. They eat them. It's a bowl made out of bread. So if you ever read that or see it on a menu, that's what it is.
There you go.
Okay, speaking of characters who wield power in unobvious ways, we now go to Sansa. Her second Sansa chapter. And this chapter is just all about her at a tournament, watching the tournament, not doing a whole lot, but again, it's one of those chapters where we get a lot of insight into how she's thinking and feeling, what she's all about. What do you think of this one?
I appreciated this in that we went from a chapter where Catelyn's kind of taking charge and she's really moving things forward. And then we have Sansa, who is, it seems like, I don't want to say regressing, but she's in such a different mindset. Yeah, and it's like she's like, so it's everything's like ooh and ah, and she's very into the tournament and she's very into, I wrote down a lot in my notes, she's into the high life. Yeah. That's what she likes. Up into the point to where she can watch somebody be murdered in front of her and she's like, all right, at least it's pretty, and it's like that's you.
Most of it is.
Yeah, you dance on the edge of like.
It's like passes for pretty back then. They didn't have
and it's like,
or anything.
Is that kind of playing into like a trope, or is that like part of her character? And I don't know. I got the impression that Sansa romanticizes life in King's Landing so much.
Oh yeah.
That she is willing to overlook all of the terrible things like Robert getting belligerently drunk and just kind of stumbling around and saying things. And, the tournament, watching somebody get killed and all the violence and everything, she's willing to overlook it and be like, oh, but Joffrey's kind of cute. And it's like,
and Loras is hot. And they all look so handsome on their horses going back and forth.
Yeah, it's like distraction. It's like smoke and mirrors. And she's of the age where she's going to be kind of into that. I know you made a note, like it was like she was at like a boy band concert.
I mean,
that's such a great analogy.
A lot of fun narration in here. It just feels like it's just a young girl who's dazzled. Like by the way, really quick, Emma agrees with me that you have anime hair.
Oh, thank you.
Just saying that.
Is this a compliment? I don't know.
The jury's still out on that one. But here. Sansa was drunk on the magic of the night, giddy with glamour, swept away by beauty she had dreamt of all her life and never dared hope to know. And there's these like long sections about all these like knights and like all their names that we don't really remember, but it's like this guy rode by and that guy and that guy and that guy. There's a huge description of food she ate, and I think they're just kind of overloading us with imagery. Yeah. Because that's what she's on right now. She's on a sugar high. She's surrounded by all this stuff she always heard about. If Arya had narrated this chapter, it would be like, the whole thing was boring, but the Hound was kind of badass because his face is burned. She skip over all of that. Sansa, but you linger on those details because that's the kind of person she is. She's dazzled by all of this. to the point where you said regressed. I think she kind of has, because
I guess,
in the big way with Joffrey. Because, right, this is a guy who, basically had her wolf killed.
Yep.
And, fought her sister in front of her and cursed at her, very unpleasant. And she basically forgives him because I think the line is, he was too beautiful to hate. She really wants to buy into this whole knights and ladies fantasy. I think I read the line down somewhere. It was, at first she thought she... Phonetic. There was a lot of B's and G's. At first, she thought she hated Joffrey for what they'd done to Lady, but after Sansa had wept her eyes dry, she told herself that it had not been Joffrey's doing. Not truly. The Queen had done it. She was the one to hate. Her and Arya. Nothing bad would have happened except for Arya. She would not hate Joffrey tonight. He was too beautiful to hate.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the idea of Arya doesn't really fit into the whole queenly knightly fantasy thing, so she's going to accept the stuff that's pretty.
Yeah.
Like Loras the gay dude handing her a rose. She doesn't know anything like that. She just knows he's hot, and that he handed her a rose. The boy handing you a rose. So she has some serious rose-colored glasses on at this point.
Big time. And, we've seen that, we talked about George R. R. Martin tapping into historical things before. And, that, you kind of get that. We see that today even. People are willing to overlook.
Oh, completely.
The horrible things that people do because it's they're pretty or they agree with me or something like that. So, it's not that... I wouldn't say it's necessarily a deep flaw in Sansa's character.
No, it's
because
she's
at that point in her life and it gives her an obstacle to overcome too. And as we see in the show, she does. So it kind of helps her arc, in my opinion.
It's slow, but it happens.
More, yeah.
Nicole Marie says that I have an 11-year-old. They romanticize what they love, and that's about how old Sansa is in the book anyway at this time.
Yeah.
So yeah, she doesn't get what's really going on, and she shouldn't. She's too young, and she has her idea of the world, and she wants that to fit.
Yeah.
But they throw it in her. It's really hard to do that when the Hound is escorting you back to your room. And he's drunk, and he leans over and says, "Look at me. My brother shoved my face into a brazier when I was a little kid.
I'm growing up so fast.
And if you tell anyone, I will kill you." So it's...
That might shatter one of the lenses
what do you think
of
of that?
your rose-colored glasses.
I mean,
that's a reality check.
I mean, Sansa's you feel like she could rationalize even that. He's just a weird outlier, exception, bizarre person.
Yeah.
And she doesn't stop. She doesn't really stop this until Ned dies. That's her.
Yeah.
Okay, I need to change something moment. But I mean, clearly Martin is trying to show us that the way she thinks isn't the real way.
Yeah.
By throwing this giant, block to that way of life in her face, literally up in her face.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even get into a duality thing with the one side of his face is not and the other side is burned. It's very metaphorical.
It's very deep. Very deep.
Do you have any thoughts on the Hound and Sansa conversation?
No, I mean, I've always liked the Hound, so the more Hound I can get. Do we ever go into his
Not
head?
yet, anyway.
Oh, that's a bummer.
At this point, no. But I mean, one thing I like is we never go inside his head, but they still get the kind of duality to him. He's obviously gruff and violent. But there's a bit toward the end when, after he tells a story, and Sansa says she felt sad for him, that vulnerability is there.
Yeah.
And he can portray it in the head. He can portray it through other people. It's pretty cool. Also, I think it wasn't the first instruction Littlefinger, but it's Sansa's.
Yeah.
I just like the description.
Very weaselly.
Which was, it was very close to what the show is, right? He was short with a pointed beard and silver streaks in his hair, almost as old as her father. And then he touches her hair and leaves, which is that's Littlefinger for you. That's about perfect.
About right.
Cool. Any other thoughts, Josh, on the second Sansa chapter?
No.
Oh, that was good. I like it.
I liked it too.
I think next week we should read just the next Ned chapter because it's pretty long.
Okay.
I looked at it.
That
and
works.
We'll move on from there.
All right.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. By the way, next week, in addition to having this cool new setup, having Josh back for more Songbird and Josh, Kayla back for more Game of Thrones news, we'll be rebranding into Take the Black. We're still going to be on at the same time, same place, 4 o'clock on Wednesdays, but we'll have a new name. And next week, we'll have a very special giveaway, so you'll want to be here for that. Till next time, have a pleasant evening.